I always thought betrayal would feel like a sudden knife to the back. Quick, shocking, and done. Instead, it was more like watching someone slowly poison my coffee while wearing a smile. The worst part, the hands holding the poison belonged to my sister and mother-in-law. I'm Delaney, and this is how I caught my family trying to destroy everything I'd built. "You really outdid yourself with this spread," Paisley gushed, helping herself to another mimosa at our monthly family brunch. My sister had that sparkle in her eyes, the one that usually meant trouble was brewing. "How do you manage it all? The business, the perfect house, the perfect husband." I caught Mary, my mother-in-law, exchanging a look with Paisley across my granite countertop. It was subtle, but I'd grown up learning to read micro-expressions. When you're raised by a mother who could flip from sugar to spite in seconds, you develop a sixth sense for these things. "It's not perfect," I said, refilling Isaac's coffee cup. My husband smiled up at me, but something felt off. He'd been distant lately, checking his phone more often, working late. "Just takes organisation and hard work." "Oh, sweetie," Mary chimed in, patting my hand with that patronising touch I'd grown to hate. "You work too hard. Isaac needs a wife, not a CEO." I pulled my hand away, pretending to adjust a napkin. "I can be both." "Can you?" Mary's smile didn't reach her eyes. "Because lately, Isaac seems distracted." The room felt suddenly colder. Isaac shifted in his seat, and I noticed Paisley hide a smirk behind her glass. Later that evening, after everyone left, I was cleaning up when I heard Isaac's sharp intake of breath from his home office. "Del, can you come here for a minute?" His voice was strange, controlled. I found him staring at his laptop screen, his face pale. "Someone sent me these," he said, turning the screen toward me. "Anonymous email." My heart stopped. There were photos of me at La Maison, my favourite restaurant, sitting with a man. The angles were weird, the lighting off. In one photo, it looked like we were holding hands across the table. But I hadn't been to La Maison in months, and I definitely hadn't been there with any man except Isaac. "These are fake," I said immediately. "Isaac, you know these are fake." He closed the laptop slowly. "Do I? Look at the date stamp, last Tuesday. I was in Seattle for the tech conference. You dropped me at the airport yourself." "Right," he said, but his voice was hollow. "Of course." I reached for him, but he stood up, walking past me. "I need some air." As I watched him grab his keys and leave, my phone buzzed. A text from Paisley. "Everything okay? You seem stressed lately. I'm here if you need to talk about anything, or confess anything." That's when I knew. The knife wasn't in my back yet, but I could feel its cold edge pressing against my spine. My sister and mother-in-law were orchestrating something, and those photos were just the opening act. I called Bella, my best friend and lawyer, immediately. "I need you to come over, now!" "What's wrong?" she asked, hearing the edge in my voice. "Remember how you said Mary was too quiet at my last birthday party? That Paisley was being too nice? I think I know why." "I'm on my way," Bella said. "Don't delete anything. Don't confront anyone. And Del?" "Yeah? Whatever they're planning, we're going to be 10 steps ahead." I hung up and walked to my home office, pulling up the security cameras I'd had installed last month. Mary had called them paranoid, but I'd learned early in my career that success makes you a target. I just never thought the arrows would come from family. Standing at my window, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of warning, I thought about all the times Paisley had competed with me, all the times Mary had undermined me. They thought I was the same quiet girl who used to hide in her room while her family fell apart, the same woman who smiled politely through Mary's backhanded compliments. They were about to learn how wrong they were. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Paisley. "Family meeting tomorrow, Mary's house. It's important." I texted back a single thumbs-up emoji, then called Carlos, my security specialist. "How fast can you set up surveillance at my mother-in-law's house?" "For you, I can be there in an hour." Good, I said, watching Isaac's car pull back into our driveway, because I have a feeling tomorrow's meeting is going to be very interesting. Isaac didn't come to bed that night. I found him on the couch at 3 a.m., scrolling through old photos on his phone. The blue light made his face look ghostly. "Remember our first date?" he asked without looking up. "You ordered coffee at a wine bar." "I had a presentation the next morning," I said, sitting beside him. "I couldn't afford to be hungover." "You've always been like that, responsible, focused." He finally met my eyes. "That's why these photos don't make sense." "Then why are you out here instead of in bed with me?" He ran a hand through his hair. "Because my mother sent me more messages, said she's been gathering evidence for months, that she's worried about you, about us." The knife twisted deeper. Of course Mary was behind this. "What kind of evidence?" I kept my voice steady, remembering Bella's warning not to show my hand. "Text messages, phone records. She says—" My phone rang, cutting him off. Paisley's name flashed on the screen. "Aren't you going to answer that?" Isaac asked. I let it ring. "It's late. Could be important. She is your sister." The way he said sister made my stomach turn. I thought about the last time Paisley had actually acted like one, probably when we were kids, before Dad left, before Mum decided I was too much like him. "Del," Paisley's voice came through my voicemail speaker. "Just checking on you. Mary told me about the photos. We're all so worried. Please don't shut us out like you did when Dad left." Isaac watched my face. "You never talk about your father." "Because there's nothing to say. He walked out one morning and never came back." I stood up, needing to move. "Just like you're thinking of doing." "I'm not." "Really? Because you haven't touched me since those photos arrived. You're letting your mother get in your head, just like she always does." The doorbell rang. At 3 a.m., we both jumped. "I called Bella," I said, heading for the door, "and you're going to want to hear what she found." Bella burst in, laptop under her arm, her courtroom energy in full force despite the hour. "The metadata on those photos, amateur hour, they were edited last week. I can prove it." She set up her laptop on our kitchen island, pulled up the files. "See these timestamps? They don't match. The embedded data shows manipulation. Whoever did this used basic software." Isaac leaned in, frowning. "Could be corruption in the files." "All of them? In exactly the same way?" Bella raised an eyebrow. "And what about this?" She pointed to a reflection in one of the photos. "That's not how light works. This is a composite image." My phone buzzed again. Mary this time. "Darling, we need to talk about Delaney. She's not well. I've seen this before. Successful women who just crack." I showed Isaac the message. "Your mother thinks I'm cracking. Interesting timing." "She's just concerned," he said, but I heard the doubt creeping into his voice. Like, is she, or is she finally making her move? I pulled up our security app, showing him the footage from last week's brunch. "Watch Paisley and your mother when they think no one's looking." The footage showed them huddled in our kitchen, whispering. Mary's hand on Paisley's arm, nodding encouragingly. Paisley glancing over her shoulder. "That doesn't prove anything," Isaac said, but he couldn't look away. "No?" I pulled up another clip. "How about this?" Mary's voice came through clearly. "Just follow my lead, dear. Your sister won't know what hit her." Isaac's face went blank. The expression I'd seen whenever his mother crossed a line, and he couldn't defend her. "There's more," Bella said, pulling up documents. "Bank transfers from Mary to Paisley's account, 3 of them right before these photos appeared." "Could be innocent," Isaac murmured. "Could be," I agreed. "But tomorrow at this family meeting, we'll find out. Unless you've already decided I'm guilty." He reached for my hand, and for the first time since this started, his grip was firm. "I know who you are, Del. I just needed a minute to remember." Good, Bella said, packing up her laptop. Because tomorrow's going to get ugly. You both need to be ready. After she left, Isaac and I stood in our kitchen, the dawn starting to creep through our windows. My phone buzzed one last time. A group text from Paisley to the family. Meeting at 2 p.m, attendance mandatory. This is about helping Delaney. I looked at Isaac. Are you with me? He pulled me close, finally. Always. But Del, whatever they're planning, be careful. My mother doesn't lose gracefully. Good thing I'm not planning to let her win, I said, thinking of Carlos and his surveillance equipment already in place at Mary's house. Not this time. Carlos met me at a coffee shop 2 hours before the intervention. He slid a tablet across the table, showing multiple camera feeds from Mary's house. Everything's live, he said. Audio and video in the living room, kitchen and study. They haven't noticed anything. I watched Mary arranging chairs in her living room like a theatre director setting a stage. Paisley arrived early, carrying a manila envelope. Got movement in the study, Carlos said, switching feeds. The audio crackled to life. Are you sure about this? Paisley's voice was nervous. What if she fights back? Mary laughed. Your sister? Please. She'll cry, make excuses, then sign whatever we put in front of her to keep the peace, just like always. The prenup becomes void if she's unfaithful. Isaac will get everything, and once he's devastated... Mary's smile turned predatory. Well, mothers know best how to comfort their sons. My hands tightened around my coffee cup. Carlos whistled low. Lady's got ice in her veins, he said. You sure you want to hear more? Every word. Paisley's voice again. What about my cut? Once the divorce is final, you'll get your share. Think of it as compensation for all those years living in her shadow. My phone buzzed. Bella was calling. They filed something, she said without preamble. Emergency petition for conservatorship. They're claiming you're mentally unstable, making risky business decisions. Of course they are. I watched Mary straightening family photos on her walls, photos where I'd been carefully cropped out. How long have we got? Hearing set for Monday. They must have a judge in their pocket to fast-track it. Send everything to Drew, I said. He needs to be ready. Drew was Isaac's best friend and a court clerk. He'd be at the intervention, the perfect independent witness to their scheme. The study door opened on the feed. Jason, Paisley's fiancé, walked in. Babe, your mum's here. My mother. I hadn't expected that. Perfect timing, Mary cooed. Genesis, darling, come in. We're just discussing how to help Delaney through this difficult time. My mother's voice was hesitant. Are we sure about this? Maybe we should just talk to her first. We tried talking, Paisley said quickly. She's out of control. The affairs, the erratic behaviour. Affairs? Genesis sounded shocked. But she's always been so... Boring, Paisley laughed. That's what made it so easy to set up. No one would believe straight-laced Delaney could take a lover. But with the right evidence... The coffee cup crumpled in my hand. Carlos quickly handed me a napkin. They're digging their own graves, he said quietly. Every word's being recorded. Show me the documents, Jason said off camera. If I'm going to be here as legal counsel, I need to review everything. Of course, Mary purred. Paisley, show him the photos, the text messages, everything. I switched my phone to speaker as Bella called again. Del, Isaac's here with me. You need to hear this. Put him on. Del? Isaac's voice was tight. My mother just called, said she's doing this because she loves me, wants to protect me from what you've become. And I told her to go to hell. Relief flooded through me. On the tablet, I watched Jason examining the documents, his lawyer's frown deepening. Paisley, he said slowly, these messages, they don't look right. What do you mean? Her voice pitched higher. The timestamps are inconsistent, and this signature on the hotel receipt, It's not even close to Delaney's. You're not supposed to analyse them, Paisley snapped. Just back me up. Silence fell in the study. Jason took a step back. What did you do? He whispered. What I had to. Paisley's composure cracked. She always gets everything. The praise, the success, the perfect life. It's my turn. I can't be part of this. Jason headed for the door. I'm out. If you leave, Mary called after him, you're choosing sides? Yes, he said. I am. I watched him storm out of the house. Carlos checked his watch. Showtime in 30 minutes. You ready? I stood, gathering my things. More than ready. Del? Isaac was still on the phone. I'll meet you there. And, honey, let's show them what happens when they underestimate you. I ended the call, taking one last look at the feed. Mary was comforting a crying Paisley, while Genesis looked on uncertainly. They thought they were about to witness my breakdown. Instead, they were about to star in their own. Carlos, I said, heading for my car, make sure every recording device is running. We're not going to miss a single moment of this. Mary's living room looked like a courtroom, chairs arranged in a semicircle, facing a single seat, obviously meant for me. Drew sat near the window, notepad ready. My mother perched nervously on the edge of her chair. Isaac stood by the fireplace, his face carefully neutral. Delaney, sweetheart, Mary stepped forward, arms outstretched. We're all here because we love you. I didn't hug her back. Are we? Please sit. She gestured to the lone chair. We need to talk about your recent behaviour. I sat, crossing my legs, smoothing my skirt. Paisley wouldn't meet my eyes. Would anyone like coffee? Mary offered. Tea? Let's skip the pleasantries, I said. You've all been gathered here to witness something. What is it? Mary's smile flickered. We're worried about you, dear. The stress of your company, the pressure you put on yourself, it's affecting your judgment. Is it? You're not yourself, Paisley jumped in. The late nights, the secret meetings. The affairs, Mary added softly. Isaac's knuckles whitened on the mantelpiece. That's quite an accusation, I said. I assume you have proof. Unfortunately. Mary nodded to Paisley, who pulled out her manila envelope. These photos were sent to us anonymously. The doctored photos made their rounds. Drew examined them carefully, making notes. And these text messages, Paisley added, passing her phone around, from your private number. I read the messages aloud. Miss you already. Can't wait for our next hotel meet-up. Isaac's working late again. Come over. I looked up. Interesting. Do you deny it? Mary pressed. What I find interesting, I continued, is that these messages are dated last Thursday, when I was giving a keynote speech at the Women in Tech conference, live streamed to 10,000 people. Paisley's face paled. But that's not all, I said. The hotel receipt you're about to show everyone, the one with my supposed signature, I'd love to hear how I signed it while I was having dinner with Isaac's entire firm. People can forge timestamps, Mary said quickly. Technology can be manipulated. Yes, I agreed, it can. The room grew tense. Genesis shifted uncomfortably. Delaney, Mary's voice hardened, we have witnesses, people who've seen you. With other men, I finished. Like the photos from La Maison, the restaurant where the owner is my college roommate, who, by the way, confirmed I haven't been there in months. Stop deflecting, Paisley stood up. Just admit what you did. Paisley, I said quietly, how much did Mary pay you? The room went silent. What? Genesis whispered. 3 transfers, I continued, to your account, right before these photos appeared. That's ridiculous, Mary sputtered. I was helping her with rent. $20,000 for rent. I pulled out my phone. Or was that the price for betraying your sister? Don't you dare turn this around, Paisley's voice cracked. You've always been so perfect, so superior. Play it, I said. Isaac pulled out a remote and pointed it at Mary's TV. The screen flickered to life, showing Mary's study from 2 hours ago. "Your sister? Please, she'll cry, make excuses, then sign whatever we put in front of her to keep the peace." Mary's face drained of colour as her own voice filled the room. "Once the divorce is final, you'll get your share. Think of it as compensation for all those years living in her shadow." Genesis stood up, shaking. "Paisley, what did you do?" The footage continued, showing every detail of their conspiracy. Jason's discovery, Paisley's confession. "Turn it off," Mary commanded. "This is clearly edited." "Like the photos." I stood up. "Drew, you've seen everything. As a court officer, what's your professional opinion?" Drew cleared his throat. "The evidence suggests a clear conspiracy to commit fraud, defamation, and attempted theft through deception." "This is absurd," Mary turned to Isaac. "Son, you can't believe." "I heard everything, Mother." Isaac finally spoke. "I've been listening to your plotting for weeks. We both have." Paisley collapsed into her chair, sobbing. "I thought. You thought I'd break," I said. "That I'd give up everything I've built to avoid confrontation, like I did when Dad left, like I did every time you stole my moments, my achievements, my joy." "Security is on their way," Drew announced, checking his phone, "and the police have been notified." Mary lunged for her purse, but Isaac blocked her path. "It's over, Mother." I walked to the door, then turned back. "You know what your biggest mistake was? Thinking I was still that scared little girl. But that girl grew up. She built an empire, and she learned to install security cameras." The sound of sirens filled the air as Mary's perfectly arranged intervention crumbled around her. The police arrived with perfect timing, just as Mary was trying to delete messages from her phone. 2 officers entered the living room, while Genesis sat frozen, watching her daughters' lives implode in real time. "Mrs. Welch," the female officer approached Mary, "we need you to come with us." "This is ridiculous." Mary clutched her designer handbag. "I'm a respected member of this community. I serve on 3 charity boards." 4, I corrected, though after today, probably none. Paisley made a break for the back door, but Drew was faster. "Going somewhere." "You don't understand," she pleaded, mascara running down her face. "She has everything, the perfect life, the successful company, the loving husband. What about me?" "What about you?" I stepped closer. "You had opportunities. Remember when I offered you a position at my company? You said tech was beneath you. When I tried to invest in your real estate business, you said you didn't want my charity." The male officer began reading them their rights, while Genesis finally found her voice. "I did this," she whispered. "I made you like this, Paisley, always praising you, never making you work for anything." "Ma'am," the female officer interrupted, "we'll need statements from everyone. Mr. Sullivan here says he has video evidence." Drew nodded, handing over a flash drive. "Everything's time-stamped and authenticated, including their discussion of the falsified documents they plan to file on Monday." Mary's face went from red to white. "Those were private conversations in my home." "Your home," Isaac said coldly, "where you plotted to destroy my wife's life, where you manipulated my sister-in-law into helping you, where you planned to steal everything Delaney built. I was protecting you." "From what?" Isaac exploded. "From a woman who loves me, who built something amazing from nothing, who puts up with your constant criticism and still treats you with respect." "She's not good enough for you," Mary shrieked as the officers moved to handcuff her. "She's common, she's successful," I finished, "independent, everything you couldn't be." Paisley slumped against the wall as her handcuffs clicked shut. "Jason will help us. He's a lawyer." "Jason left," Drew reminded her. "He wants no part of this. In fact," he checked his phone, "he just texted. He's providing a sworn statement about what he witnessed today." Genesis stepped toward me, hand outstretched. "Delaney, I'm so sorry, I should have seen." I stepped back. "Don't. You had 20 years to see it, to stop it, to be a mother to both your daughters, not just your favourite." The officers began leading Mary and Paisley out. Mary kept her head high, but Paisley broke down completely. "Please, Del, don't do this. I'm your sister." "No," I said quietly. "Sisters don't do this to each other." As they reached the door, Mary turned back. "Isaac, son, please." "Goodbye, Mother." Isaac's voice was final. "Don't contact us again except through our lawyers." After they were gone, Genesis sank into a chair. "What happens now?" "Now?" I gathered my things. "Now the real work begins. Drew, send everything to Bella. She'll need it for the restraining orders and civil suits." "Already done," he said. "And Del, I'm sorry. I knew Mary was difficult, but this—" "Thank you for your help," Isaac told him. "We couldn't have done this without you." Genesis stood up shakily. "Delaney, please, let me try to make this right." "You can't," I said simply. "But you can do better with your next daughter-in-law. Jason's sister is lovely, by the way, though I doubt that wedding's still happening." As we left Mary's house for the last time, Isaac took my hand. "You okay?" "No," I admitted. "But I will be." My phone buzzed. Bella calling. "It's done?" "It's done. Mary and Paisley are in custody. We have everything recorded." "Good, because they just tried to file those conservatorship papers electronically. Judge Morris is furious. She's calling an emergency hearing for tomorrow morning." "Perfect," I said, watching police cars pull away with my sister and mother-in-law. "Let's show them exactly how mentally competent I am." Isaac squeezed my hand as we walked to our car. Behind us, Genesis stood in Mary's doorway, watching her family fracture along fault lines she'd helped create. "You know what the worst part is?" I told Isaac as we drove away. "They really thought I was weak, that I'd just roll over and let them take everything." "Their mistake," he said, "was forgetting who they were dealing with." My phone buzzed again, a text from Paisley. "I hate you. You've ruined everything." I showed it to Isaac, who shook his head. "Should we tell her about the recording of that message too?" "No," I said, deleting the text. "Let her figure it out in court tomorrow. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way." The courthouse hallway buzzed with whispers as Mary and Paisley were led in, both wearing designer outfits that couldn't quite hide their knight in holding. Jason sat on the opposite side of the gallery, pointedly avoiding Paisley's desperate glances. "All rise," the bailiff called as Judge Morris entered. "Your Honour," Mary's lawyer began, "my client was acting out of maternal concern." "Save it," Judge Morris cut him off. "I've reviewed the evidence, including the recorded conversation where your client discussed bribing a judge." She leaned forward. "Would you like to guess how I feel about that?" Mary's lawyer wilted. Bella stood up, tablet in hand. "Your Honour, we have additional evidence of witness tampering. This morning, Mrs. Welch attempted to contact several of my client's board members." "That's a lie," Mary interrupted. "The calls were recorded," Bella continued smoothly, "by the prison phone system." Judge Morris's eyes narrowed. "Playing chess while in custody, Mrs. Welch. Bold move." Paisley's new lawyer, a public defender, looked overwhelmed. "Your Honour, my client was manipulated by her mother-in-law. She's willing to testify." "Against me?" Mary whirled around. "After everything I've done for you." "Order!" Judge Morris slammed her gavel. "Mrs. Welch, control yourself or I'll have you removed." I felt Isaac tense beside me as his mother was reprimanded like a child. Bella continued presenting evidence, bank records, doctored photos, recorded conversations. With each new piece, Mary's face grew harder, while Paisley seemed to shrink. "And finally," Bella said, "we have this morning's attempt to file an emergency conservatorship using forged medical records." The judge examined the documents. "Dr. Harrison's signature. Interesting, considering he's been dead for 6 months. A gasp rippled through the courtroom. Mary's lawyer looked like he wanted to disappear. "Your Honour," he tried again, "perhaps we could discuss a plea arrangement." "Traitor!" Mary stood up. "I'm not pleading anything. This is a conspiracy against me. My son has provided a sworn statement," Judge Morris finished, detailing years of manipulation and emotional abuse. Isaac squeezed my hand as his mother turned to him, betrayal written across her face. "The court finds clear evidence of criminal conspiracy, fraud, defamation, and attempted financial theft," Judge Morris declared. "Bail is denied pending trial." "No!" Paisley cried. "Please, I can't go to jail. I'm supposed to get married." Jason stood up. "No, you're not." He walked out without looking back. As the bailiffs approached, Mary made one last desperate play. "Delaney, you can stop this. We're family." I stood up slowly. "Family doesn't try to destroy family, Mary. You taught me that." The courtroom watched as they were led away, Mary still protesting, Paisley crying. Genesis sat in the back, tears streaming down her face. Outside, reporters waited with cameras. Bella handled them, while Isaac and I slipped out the side entrance. "Your company's stock is up," Bella texted later. "Market loves a survivor story." I was responding when another message came through, from Genesis. "I know it's too late, but I'm sorry for everything." "What are you going to do about your mum?" Isaac asked, reading over my shoulder. "Nothing," I said. "She made her choices, just like Paisley did, just like Mary did." My phone rang, Drew calling with updates. Mary's charity boards all voted to remove her. Paisley's real estate license is under review, and Jason's firm wants to represent you in the civil suits. Tell them thanks, but I'm sticking with Bella. "One more thing," Drew added. "Mary tried to send Isaac a letter from Holding. Guards intercepted it. Want to know what it said?" "Let me guess. More accusations? Guilt trips?" "Better, a full confession, trying to take all the blame to protect Paisley. Apparently, she thought it would reach Isaac privately." I laughed without humour. "Send it to Bella. Let's add witness tampering to the charges." After hanging up, I found Isaac in his home office, staring at old family photos. "We can take those down," I offered. "Already did." He pointed to a box labelled Goodwill. "Fresh start." "Fresh start." My phone buzzed one last time. A news alert. Prominent socialite and daughter indicted in conspiracy case. "You know what's funny?" I told Isaac. "They thought they were writing my tragedy. Instead, they wrote their own." He pulled me close. "Think they've learned their lesson?" "Probably not," I said, remembering Mary's face in court. "But they've lost their power to hurt us. That's enough." We ordered takeout that night, eating on our patio while the sun set on the longest week of our lives. Sometimes, I realized, justice doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes it just needs to be served cold, with a side of karma. 3 months after the trial, I found myself sitting across from Genesis at a coffee shop downtown. She looked older, worn down by the weight of her choices. "Paisley took a plea deal," she said, stirring her untouched latte. 2 years, with possibility of parole." "I know." I kept my voice neutral. "Mary didn't." "No, she's convinced she can win at trial." Genesis sighed. "Just like your father was convinced he'd make it big in Vegas. Don't." I set my cup down hard. "Don't compare your failures to my success." "That's not what I—" She stopped, collecting herself. "I came because I need you to understand something about why I always favoured Paisley." "I already know why. She was easier, more compliant, less like Dad." "No," Genesis leaned forward. "She was more like me, weak, desperate for approval. I saw myself in her, and I couldn't stand seeing your strength, your independence. It reminded me of everything I wasn't." The coffee shop buzzed around us, oblivious to our quiet drama. "That's not an excuse," I said. "No, it's not. But when I saw what she did, what Mary convinced her to do, Genesis pulled out an envelope. I made a decision. Inside was a cashier's check for $50,000. What's this? My savings. I want you to donate it to whatever cause you choose. Something good should come from all this pain. I pushed the envelope back. Keep it. You'll need it for Paisley's legal fees. Delaney, please, let me try to fix it. I stood up. You can't fix 20 years of choosing one daughter over the other. You can't fix teaching Paisley that manipulation was love. You can't fix making me believe I deserved less because I reminded you of Dad. The door chimed as Bella walked in. Perfect timing, as always. Ready? She asked. For what? Genesis looked between us. I'm speaking at a women's leadership conference, I said, about overcoming family betrayal and building success anyway. Can I come? No. I gathered my things. But you can watch the live stream, like you've watched everything else in my life, from a distance. The conference hall was packed. Isaac sat in the front row with Bella, both giving me encouraging nods as I took the stage. Success makes you a target, I began, sometimes from competitors, sometimes from strangers, and sometimes from the people who should love you most. The audience leaned in as I told my story, not for revenge, but for healing. For every woman who'd been told she was too much, too ambitious, too different. My sister and mother-in-law thought they could break me, I continued. They saw my strength as a threat, my success as an insult, my independence as a challenge. I clicked to the next slide, a photo of Mary's house, the scene of their failed intervention. They staged an elaborate trap, thinking I'd crumble. Instead, I showed them that the woman they underestimated had outgrown their games. Afterward, during the reception, a young woman approached me. My mother's trying to take control of my startup, she said. Says I'm too young to handle success. I gave her Bella's card. Success doesn't ask permission, neither should you. That night, Isaac found me in our home office, looking at an old photo, the last one taken before Dad left, before Paisley became the golden child, before Mary decided I wasn't good enough for her son. You were amazing today, he said, wrapping his arms around me. I kept thinking about Mary during the speech, how she's sitting in jail, probably still plotting. Let her plot, she can't hurt us anymore. My phone lit up with a text from Drew. Mary's lawyer reached out. She wants to make a deal. Too late, I texted back. Another message popped up. From Jason. Thank you for showing me the truth before I made a huge mistake. Isaac read over my shoulder. Any regrets? About exposing them? No. I put the old photo away. About losing the family I thought I had? Sometimes. But then I remember, we're building a better one. He smiled. Speaking of which, should we tell them? I touched my stomach, still flat but holding our secret. Not yet. Let's keep this joy to ourselves for a while. Deal, he kissed my forehead. And Dell, our child will never doubt they're loved, never wonder if they're enough. Never, I agreed, thinking of all the patterns we were breaking, all the cycles we were ending. They'll know their worth isn't measured against anyone else's. The setting sun painted our office in shades of gold, and for the first time in months, I felt completely at peace. Sometimes the family you're born into teaches you what not to be, and sometimes that's the greatest gift they could give you. The verdict came down on a Tuesday. I sat in the courtroom, watching Mary's face as the judge read out her sentence. 5 years for conspiracy, fraud, and attempted theft. No chance of early release. Do you have any final words for the court? Judge Morris asked. Mary stood, designer suit hanging loose on her frame after months in custody. I did what any mother would do to protect her son. No, Isaac spoke up from beside me. You did what a manipulative, controlling woman does when she loses power. This was never about protecting me. The bailiffs led her away. She didn't look back. Outside, reporters shouted questions. "Mrs. Garcia, how does it feel to win?" "This wasn't about winning," I said into the microphones. "This was about consequences, about showing that success doesn't make you a target, and family doesn't mean accepting abuse." My phone buzzed, a message from Paisley's prison email. "I'm starting therapy, real therapy, not just for show. I don't expect forgiveness, but I need you to know I understand now. What I did, what Mom did to both of us." I showed it to Isaac as we drove home. "Think she means it?" "Maybe." He navigated through traffic. "But that's her journey, not yours." At home, Bella waited with papers spread across our kitchen island. "Mary's assets are frozen. The civil suit—" "Donate it," I interrupted. "Everything we win, give it to organizations helping women escape toxic families and build their own success." "Already drafted the paperwork," she smiled. "You're getting predictable in your righteousness." "Speaking of predictable," Isaac called from the living room, "Genesis is at the gate." I checked the security camera. My mother stood there, clutching her purse, looking lost. "Let her in," I decided. She hurried up our walkway. "I just left Paisley. She's different, clearer somehow." "Prison can do that," I said, not inviting her inside. "Why are you here?" "Because I finally read your book, the one you published last year about building your company." She pulled a worn copy from her purse. "You thanked everyone except family." I never understood why until now. "We don't always get the family we deserve," I said. "Sometimes we have to build our own." "Like you have." She glanced at my slightly rounded stomach. "Congratulations, by the way. I saw the announcement in the business section." "Thank you." I didn't elaborate, didn't invite more conversation about the grandchild she wouldn't know. "I'll go," she said softly. "But Delaney, you were always enough. I was the one who wasn't." I watched her walk away, feeling nothing but a quiet certainty that some doors were better left closed. Inside, Isaac had opened champagne, non-alcoholic for me, real for everyone else. "To justice," he toasted. "To consequences," Bella added. "To choosing your own family," I finished. Later that night, I sat in our nursery-to-be, reading comments on my latest blog post about the trial. "You showed me it's okay to cut off toxic family." "Finally told my manipulative sister no today." "Started my own company after reading your story." Isaac found me there, smiling at my phone. "Building your army of empowered women?" "Building a legacy," I corrected. "One that has nothing to do with Mary or Paisley or Genesis." "Speaking of legacy," he handed me an envelope. "Drew sent this, Mary's final attempt to communicate before starting her sentence." I opened it, reading aloud. "You think you've won, but you'll never have what I had, a child's complete devotion. Remember that when your own child grows up to resent your strength, just like you resented your mother's weakness." "Should we respond?" Isaac asked. I ripped the letter in half, then quarters. "She still doesn't get it. Strength isn't about control. It's about letting people grow, even if they grow away from you." "Our child will know that," he said firmly. "Nay," I agreed, tossing the pieces into the trash. "They will." My phone lit up one last time. A text from Jason. "Getting married next month to someone who builds me up instead of tearing others down. Thank you for showing me the difference." I smiled, thinking of all the ripples from our story, all the lives changed by one family's failed attempt at destruction. "Ready to let it all go?" Isaac asked. "Already have," I said, turning off my phone. "Their chapter is over. Time to write our own." Outside, the city lights twinkled like stars, each one a reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well, loving deeply, and leaving the past where it belongs, behind us.